morning. Good morning. I had an announcement come through. Good morning. That's a big introduction. And I tell you, it's more than I can sort of handle. I don't like when people talk about me without me. It just feels like it's not me. But with that in mind, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm not going to go on without introducing Betsy Smith, who is the other individual who is present. Betsy joined us about 3 years ago at Elder Law of Michigan. She is our stakeholder manager for the My Cafe program. And a lot of the topics that we're going to be covering today, she has firsthand knowledge. And if you're interested in becoming a partner, she is the person that you need to go to. And I'll let Betsy give a little of intro for herself if she wishes to.
So I cannot follow that, Darling.
All right, then it's I'll start, then I will go over and share my screen. Let me see. I'll get over here. Are you able to see my screen?
Oh, yes, it's happening. There we go.
Awesome. All right. So good morning, everyone. Our My Cafe network is up on the screen, and I wanted to give you an introduction of what we're going to be covering today. It's not working. Hang on. Not moving forward, I suppose. So our title today is Food for Thought and how to access food programs and benefits here in Michigan. Some of the programs that we're going to be covering is an overview of the programs here. If you have any questions about the topics that we're presenting, do reach out to us. We are able to help as much as we can, and we're here to help. Just wanted to make sure. I know it's a lot of information. If you're not already familiar with that landscape of food benefit programs and benefits in Michigan, it can be overwhelming, but I assure you, we give guidance throughout the process. So do reach out. So who are we? We are Elder Law Michigan. Our mission is to advocate and educate and assist our target population. Our target population are seniors and those that are disabled in the community. So we serve that community. And our vision is to provide effective solutions and that improves the quality of life in the realm of economic security, legal resolution, and much needed peace of mind. Our target population is services that for those that are in need. We cover a whole range of individuals, but we focus our services to older adults and persons with disability. The programs of ELM, we have 3 programs. The My Cafe network is the program that we cover the economic security that includes the benefits that we're going to be speaking to you about. The other program is the Michigan Elder Coalition program. That program is targeted to organizations or individuals that help them assist in identifying fraud or preventing fraud in the senior community. And so it's an educational program, and it's target those organizations to provide tools and awareness of what happens when an individual is under fraud or is someone else is sort of taking advantage of them. That's the Michigan Elder Justice Coordinating Council. The other program that we have in our office is the Mid-American Pension Rights Project. That project is geared towards finding lost pension. That program is funded through a federal grant. We are covering in addition to Michigan, there are other states that we are covering, and the overview of that program is if you, either through your husband or you yourself, have a pension that the company has moved away, or you have lost access to that pension, that program helps you find it and trying to get that pension back to your household. What do we do? What kind of services do we provide? We provide direct client services. The method that we provide those direct client services is through legal services and benefit access. Under the legal services realm, we do pension counseling, and we also deal with the pool account trust, and that's direct services under the legal services umbrella. Under the benefit access umbrella, we do SNAP benefit education and application assistance. We are going to be briefly talking about SNAP benefit education and the application assistance that we provide later on today. I will stop there and tell you that this is our program. It's the My Cafe, we call it My Cafe, but it's truly the Michigan Coordinated Access to Food for the Elderly. And that is the program that Betsy and I are very intimately familiar with. And what do we do? That's a program that helps individuals apply for benefits that meets their basic needs. That program, we sort of, do a screening to determine if they're able to get assistance through other benefits like food, utility, medical, and prescription assistance. The application assistance that is provided tends to be over the phone or with a partnership through local organization. The individual can actually go into a physical organization and do the application there. All right, and what are we going to be covering in today's presentation? We are going to be looking at the benefit program and the landscape in Michigan. We are going to look at access to food programs in Michigan. Why is this SNAP is an important, and what is SNAP and why is it important? How is SNAP related to other public benefits? And we are going to also cover other food assistance programs in Michigan. We are then going to be moving into the area of My Cafe Network partnership and the relationship that partnership has with the MDHHS navigation partner and food benefits, and how we can help individuals apply for benefits. At the very end, we are going to be covering resources for that. I will stop and see if you have any questions, and I'm not able to see the monitor for the questions. So if you do have questions, Betsy, can you let me know? But I'll stop here. If there are no questions, I'll move on to our presentation.
No questions, it looks like.
Awesome. I will moving on then. What is SNAP and why is it important? For many of us, supplemental nutrition program, SNAP. In Michigan, we also, it is also known as FAB, Food Assistance Program. It is a federal program that provides nutrition benefits to low-income individuals and family. The SNAP benefits are issued via the Michigan Bridge Card. If you are not familiar with how that bridge card looks like, it looks something similar to that that is posted there. Once the benefits are loaded into the My Bridge Card, individuals participating in the SNAP program are able to use that bridge card at participating stores, farmers market, and in various other stores to purchase food. One thing I wanted to add, I recently, actually this morning, I received a notice that Meijer is allowing My Bridge Card to be used online. So if you are in need of ordering through Meijer online, if you shop online, and you are able to use your Bridge Card online, and that's something that came out this morning. All right, stats and facts. Why are they important? One of the things that we do here at My Cafe, one of the things that is a little bit shocking for us is that we know that over 48% of seniors, or in that number might be a little bit higher, but we know that over 48% of seniors are eligible to apply for SNAP, but they're not applying for. One of the things that we know that the common barriers that seniors face when they come to make a decision to apply includes lack of transportation, a personal attitude, meaning they feel that another individual deserves it better than them, or they are located in a place through a geographic location where they don't have access to an office where they can go and apply. Or there's misinformation about the SNAP benefits, and there's a mistrust in that the government may be in their business as far as when they start making the application. So those are the things that we try to overcome when we do the SNAP education and the benefit and how they are entitled to get that. It is a program that is to benefit those that are in need. One of the other statistics that we know to be true is that seniors that are facing hunger have an increase in risk of developing health issues such as heart attack or congestive heart failure. So it is an important fact. SNAP is important, and it's a benefit that many of our seniors in our community are not tapping into because of those common barriers that we mentioned before. SNAP eligibility. I'm going to be talking to you about traditional and categorically eligibility. Traditional eligibility consists of looking at gross income. The gross income is for households that are in, so typically, let me back it up. So traditional eligibility for gross income, they look at application eligibility is 130% of federal poverty level. However, there is a category or a group of individuals who are, if a household has a senior, a disabled individual, or a veteran in that household, they get to choose the 200, not choose, but they get to use the 200 federal percent poverty level. And I'll give you the numbers as we move on, how that becomes an important thing when they're looking at income. The next thing that the eligibility looks at is net income. So you get the gross amount and then deductions are added. Deduction are deducted from the gross income, and that gives you your net income. Net income becomes very important because it determines the amount of benefit that the individual gets to be have loaded into that bridge card that you see on the screen. And we'll talk about the deductions that there are a whole list of allowable deductions that is used to reach the net income. The other category that gets added in the SNAP eligibility is asset limit. Individual must have less than 15,000 to be able to be eligible for. The next category is citizenship. Citizenship are either only US citizens or certain lawful persons that are not citizens but are lawfully present. And there's a whole list of categories under the regulations for SNAP. We talked about the SNAP eligibility for the SDV group composition, and I wanted to give you an example of what that was. So for the SDV, if you don't remember what I said before, senior, disabled, or veteran, and that's the composition they look for. So regular, non-senior, non-disabled, non-veteran household composition use the 130% federal poverty level. But if you have if the household has an elderly, a disabled, or veteran member in the household, they use the 200% federal poverty guideline. The difference, so at 130%, that monthly income will be at $13.96 versus that 200, which is $21.48. And one of the questions that we get to sort of get asked a lot is, who is an elderly, right? And those are age 60 and older. The next question we get, who is disabled? And for the most part, is those that are receiving supplemental Social Security income or Social Security disability insurance tend to be deemed disabled. And this is through a Social Security Administration determination of disability. All right.
I'm sorry, Darling, we do have a question. And
Okay.
can you talk just quickly about the asset limit of the 15,000 and how that may or may not apply to vehicles and housing?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. For the asset limit, an individual has the ability to set aside items, for example, one vehicle, and actually vehicles are not counted anymore. But it used to be you own personal vehicle, they're yours to set aside. It does not count against the 15,000. In the asset, we'll cover that in more detail. The asset is 15,000, and it can be things that you're able to. So housing, your first home, that's set aside. That doesn't include, is not part of it. So there is an exemption to the 15,000. It's 15,000 outside of that, first vehicle and your first home. With the vehicle, I believe it has been removed because it's not part of the guidelines anymore, but I will confirm that before we end. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. And I do believe that vehicles are no longer part of the asset verification.
Yeah. All right. All right. So remember, we talked about the SNAP eligibility and categorically eligibility, because the one that I was speaking earlier, they're the traditional, right? There is this categorically eligible for SNAP. And what does that mean? Well, it is for individuals that are participating in means tested program. What means tested program is they meet the certain income for those programs. So it's means tested, meaning are you able to fit in within the guidelines that those programs provide? Generally speaking, those that are getting the supplemental security income, that's a means tested program, are categorically eligible. This becomes important as we talk about another program later on. But if they're eligible for SSI, they should be able to apply automatically through for the SNAP without having to prove that they're eligible for SNAP, if that makes sense. The other assistance that is there is temporary assistance for the needy. So if a household is categorically eligible for that, they're also eligible for SNAP. They don't have to prove eligibility. They still need to apply for the SNAP, but they don't have to go through the process of applying and saying, I have this income, I have this income, and I have this asset, if that makes sense. They're automatically part of it, but they just need to go, they still need to apply. The other is, no, that's it. So that's categorically eligible. So I'm going to go over the SNAP eligibility overview. And I wanted, I went back, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So SNAP eligibility overview. We have household. We'll go over household as an individual. And so for most part, household that live together and purchase together, they are counted as one household. Okay. Then we look at asset. Asset is under 15,000. We also look at income, and gross income that needs to be, if it's traditional, 130 at that level, or if we have a senior disabled or a veteran in the household, they use the 200%. And then their net income needs to be at 1074. We then have to look at expenses and what is allowable expenses to allow for that net income. Remember that net income allows us to determine how much benefit that individual will get under that that net income. And then the last thing is citizenship. And we talked about it has to be a citizen or a certain eligible, lawfully eligible individual, and that's a status that is based on the regulations that they have there. I will stop there before I go into the actual SNAP household. Unless you have any questions, I will move on.
There was actually a comment, Jane, and I believe she's from ULSA. She commented that some of the other barriers that seniors face is the follow-up and sending in the documents that are requested for verification, which is very true.
Yeah,
that's very difficult. I know that falls back on the percentage of seniors who are receiving the SNAP benefits, but those are both big ones.
yep, completely agree.
Thank you, Jane.
All right, and so we're going to go look at the SNAP household and what does it mean, right? So SNAP household, as we indicated before, we look at, well, not we, MDHHS looks at everyone that is together, live together, they purchase the food and they prepare meals together. They are considering that a household. The implication of that is that if that is true, then no matter how many people are in the household, they're all applying, one application goes in there. If the individual is, and this is what the other point is, with the exception is, if we have an individual who is 60 years and older and are unable to purchase and prepare meals together, that individual can create their own household. So for example, you can have a household where you have 3 people who prepare, purchase, and they live, purchase, and prepare meals together. That 3 people will go into as one application. But then you have this 4th individual who is in the same household, but that person does not purchase and does not prepare meals together. That individual goes separate, and so their own application gets submitted. So that's the importance of those households that we want to distinguish on those 2. So, and I'm going to go and cover a little bit of how do we decide, or when we're helping an individual, how do we know how to decide and make them, do they go in as a household or do they do it separately? So who applies together? So if a senior lives with a spouse, that tends to be, they should apply together. If a senior lives with an adult child who is not disabled and does not purchase and prepare meals together, they need to apply separately. The senior needs to apply separately. If the senior lives with a grandchild or grandchildren that are under age 22, which they are the primary caregiver, they need to apply together. Does that make sense? Okay, I'll move on. I can't see the comments or so I'll move on. I'll assume it's no questions. So the next thing that we're going to be looking at is eligibility and asset. We talked about that 15,000 that we going. So asset can be in what's in the bank account, credit union's account. So it looks at what is in those accounts. What is in trust or annuity assets, what is in retirement investment like IRA and 401k, stock and bonds that you may have, life insurance that may be there, any property outside of your own home, right? Any external properties besides that one home that you have, the burial plot and funeral contract, there is a certain exemption to that burial plot. So there is an amount that gets set aside. Anything over that gets counted towards the asset. I'm going to try not to confuse everyone. Vehicle is listed here, but I believe things have changed where the vehicles is not included there. I wanted to, the last slide is that 15,000 limit. It has been recently increased. It was increased back in 2019. Before then, it was 5,000. We here at Elder Law, and I think that a lot of our partners welcome that increase because it has allowed many of our seniors to take advantage of the applying for SNAP benefits. Before that threshold 5,000 was very low, and we were running into lack of eligibility due to asset, where there are things that they're not able to sort of set aside, but we welcome that 15,000 increase. The next item, so remember we talked about household, we talked about asset. Now we're going to talk about income and what is income, what income limits we're looking at, and we will talk about gross income and net income and what is the difference there. So for income, we are looking at an income test that because of the population we serve, we look at senior, disabled, and veterans. So we focus primarily on that 200 federal percent level. And so we look at that as our guide for us. So, but if your organization serves individuals that are not seniors, you look at the 130% federal poverty level. But regardless of what you see, if you see the 200 federal poverty line based on your demographics that you serve, or the 130, both group needs to be at 100% or below of the federal poverty guideline to be able to move on to the other eligibility. So we talked about the 200% of the federal level, and right now is at 2148. That number, the if I didn't say it before, I'll mention it here. The federal poverty guidelines get updated every January of the year, so that number goes up and down. The state of Michigan updates their federal poverty guidelines, I believe, in October 31st. So sometimes you'll see a gap in the time that they update their regulation with the time that the federal government updates their federal poverty guidelines. And that's acceptable based on the regulations. But right now, that is what we're working at, is that 200% of 2148. And then their net income must be at 100% federal poverty level, and that is at 1,074. So what is gross versus net income? So gross income is all income that is received before payroll taxes and other allowable deductions. So when we talk about that, is what you bring in. There have been no deductions applied. It's the whole funds that you are getting into the household. Net income is what has been deducted, all those allowable deductions that are allowed in DHS that allows for you to sort of net down from that. So that's why it's called net income. So eligibility for gross income, right? What is gross income? What type of income are we looking at? So the graphics that you'll see up there right now is to give you an indication of where we need to be, right? So gross income, this is the whole pie, right? Minus the deductions that we are allowed based on the regulations, we get the net income. And so we're looking at the income at 200 federal percent level. The type of incomes that we look for is Social Security, supplemental security, and that can be RSDI or the SSI income. We look at sick benefits and workers' compensation, disability benefits, any veterans or military benefits, pension, retirement benefits, and this incomes from renters, rooms, or any other sort of increasing your income. So that's what they're looking at. And distinction that gets made is right over here. And this is why I've put in a little graphics that flows in. Employment income. It's the DHS labels that as earned income. Earned income, as we meet later on, has a 20% deduction from that. So and we'll walk through that process. But typically, if a senior is working and brings in that income, that income gets a 20% off from there. And we'll walk through that process there. And lastly, any income from tribal casino or profit sharing agreement, and all other incomes that you are able to think about. If it's an income that you're bringing in, that needs to be reported. All right, so we're going to do a quick overview of the gross income. And so who can use 200% of the federal poverty gross income? And I'll stop there and see if others were listening, and see if we can get answers. Or I'm asking for participation. Who can use 200% of federal poverty gross income?
There we go. One of the answers so far is veterans.
Yeah.
Seniors, disabled.
That is absolutely correct. We have senior, disabled, veteran household. The next question is, what are the types of income? I mentioned two. Well, actually, I mentioned one, so it's kind of a trick question. Didn't give the other one.
SSI, earned income. Go ahead.
Yes. So, and I started with, I did not mention it, earned income, so I'll give the answer. Earned income is one, that's a good answer. But the other, so the non-earned would be unearned income, and that can be from Social Security, income from tribal profit sharing, or any other income, right? So, and then the next was, what is earned income, right? So we have two types. We know that it's earned and unearned. So what is earned income?
Somebody said wages and employment.
That's correct. That's awesome. Thank
you. We also had one going back to the unearned income. Denise said renters.
Yes. Yep. Yep. That's absolutely correct. All right. So so let's go back to continue on with the gross income. And so remember, in order to reach the net income, we have to talk about deductions, right? And what are the allowable deductions? So under the allowable deductions that the state provides, we have a 20% deduction from earned income. This is wages or from employment, right? So that's what I wanted to sort of bring up, and that is, if a senior is working, they have a 20% deduction from that. So it becomes an important thing. And then you have a standard deduction that is allowed, and we'll go over some of the deductions that is provided through the DHS. We also have a dependent care deduction. We have a medical expense for the elderly that has slightly changed. Before, you had to prove, expense, money for money, I guess, for lack of better return. Before, senior had to prove on a monthly basis that they were actually had those expenses for medical to apply, and it was, you had 35, you get 35. Now medical expenses, if you are able to show that you have an expense, a medical expense that is more than 35, you get a standard medical expense of $165. Combined with the 35 becomes a $200 medical expense standard deduction that gets put in there. The next thing that it's allowable deductions are court order child support payments. And believe it or not, some seniors may be in that category where they are under subject to a court order where they have to pay child support. That gets deducted from those allowable deductions. In addition to that, they have the standard shelter deduction for homeless households. And they also get a standard. And then in addition to that, they have excess shelter costs. Some sort of why are we talking about this, right? Went back, hang on. The reason this becomes important is that is part of our deduction, what is allowed to get to the net income. Okay, so it becomes an important sort of thing to calculate. Now, would this be something that you do on like pen and paper, and you want to start doing all that stuff? No. When we later on, as we talk about my bridges and that platform, that's something that it gets done online, and it's done by the system where you're deducting all those things. This presentation is to give you what goes in the background so that you have a full sense of what's happening there. All right, so we talked about eligibility, right? Gross income minus deduction, and we then have net income. The typical calculation to to reach a net income is we start with gross income. Then we do the last 200% deduction from our income. We do the standard deduction. We minus the dependent care deduction. Any court-ordered child support gets deducted. Then we have the standard medical expense, and then we have the standard shelter deduction, and any excess shelter. So that is what you see on your screen, is the calculation that gets done to determine from gross income to the net income level. The next section is what we talked before, right? And it's all the allowable deductions that are given to an individual when they're applying. And it's listed there, the 20%, the standard deduction, and what have you. That standard deduction that we talked about comes out of the DHS regulation. So every year they update that. The number changes based on, them updating for the federal poverty guidelines. All those things, all those numbers that are highlighted there are changed. So the standard deduction on the second bullet point under allowable deduction, you'll see they look at the group size, right? So if you have an individual household of 1, they get a deduction of 177. If it's a group size of 4, you have a household of 4 individuals, they get it at 184. The shelter deduction that is listed on the other side of the standard deduction box, it's listed there. And for the most part, what tends to happen is that shelter maximum is what gets given to an individual. So if there is heat and utility that gets added, they get then the 559. It's not you get this or that. It's either you get the shelter maximum or you get the heat and utility included, and then it goes up to 559. And then based on the actual expenses, it's not this figure that you get is what, based on the calculation, what are you getting? But that's the max that you're able to get on the deduction. So I will stop there because we're going, our next sort of section would be to give you an example of, how an income gets done, and give you sort of a sample of how things get done for an individual. So I'll stop there if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll move into the income example.
No questions.
Perfect. All right, so I want to sort of talk about the income example. I do want to let you know that this is an interactive example, and there are no wrong answers, and just give it a try. This is just a fun activity in my mind. I like numbers, so, so it's really an activity that will help you sort of figure out, how, I think that if you're helping individuals, what tends to happen for the most part, the individual gets a letter from the DHS and then just says you're eligible, but it gives you a box, but you have no idea where the number was coming from. So I'm hoping that this will give you a clarification on that. Okay, so give it a try. No wrong answers, and here we go. So We have, in this income example, we have Miss Smith lives alone, and her only income is Social Security at $1,100. And that's before she pays her Medicare premium, and which is deducted from that. Okay. Then we have, she pays $170.10 for her Medicare premium, and she has a $40 a month on doctor visits that she pays. And in addition to that, she pays rent of $630. Okay, so those are the facts, right? We have 110, pays 170 for Medicare and $40 a visit, and then rent expense is at $630. Questions, comments? No. Okay. Okay, so what do? Right? So in this income example, we start with, we know that she has a gross income of 1,100, right? Yes. All right. And expense and deductions, what do we know about them? We have the Medicare premium of 170. We have a doctor visits of $40, and then we have the rent. If you remember from the previous slide, the standard deduction that are applicable to her will be that standard deduction. That's the 177 group composition of 1, 2, 3. So that's what 177 is reflected there. And then we have the standard shelter, 597, and then the standard medical that I mentioned before at 200. I say that because the doctor's visits is 40, right? So that's a medical expense. It's more than 35. So if she's able to prove that she has that 35 expense, that comes in, right? Plus that's 165. So that's a $200 standard deduction that gets plugged in for her. So how does the calculation look like? All right, well, we have net income calculation of gross income. We start at 110. We deduct the 20% earned income. Can we deduct it in this case? I'll stop and see if we can deduct.
No comments.
Do we have earned income?
Denise says no.
No, that's right.
Thank you, Denise.
That is right. So 0 will be the accurate number because we don't have that 20% income that can be deducted from an income. She is getting Social Security. And so then we have standard shelter. We got 177. That's from the standard deduction that is reflected there, right? So we have that less. And then we have dependent care deduction. In our example, she did not mention she had a dependent care expense, so she gets a 0 there. Does she have court ordered child support payment? In our facts, it didn't indicate that, so we have a 0. Then we have the medical expense, right? Medical expense of 200, and this is, we have that doctor's visit of 40, which is 35 that can be used, right? So 35 plus the 165 standard that gets deducted from that. Then we have the standard shelter deduction, 597. And do we have excess shelter? Well, one of the things that we know is 630, this excess shelter that she has to sort of show. It's a big calculation. I won't bore you with it, but for the most part, excess shelter has to be at certain level to get there. That rent is not going to give her that excess shelter, so it's going to be a 0 there. What does all that mean? I went back. What does all that mean? And what do we have? We have a total of 126, right? That number is the net income that she is bringing into her home. That net income determines an eligibility on the amount of benefit that the bridge card will get loaded with. So what happens is, in that situation, a caseworker goes and pulls the standard for loading that amount and says you've been approved for this number based on where you fall in. And so that net income makes a huge determination as to how much benefits she gets to have loaded in her card. It is an important process for all of us that are helping individuals be familiar with, because a lot of the questions that we get from seniors is, why is my benefit this low? What happened? And so it's this process, this background information that I've given you. It's important for you to understand where it falls, because most of the questions that we get from seniors is, certain deductions didn't get done or didn't get processed. And so that is why this becomes an important, so that you have a better understanding of how a benefit amount is calculated and how they reach that process. So with that, I believe Betsy will take over. Before Betsy takes over, I will see if you have any questions for me. I will be coming back after Betsy does her presentation, so I'm not out of the picture, but I just wanted to see if you have any questions for me on the stuff that I presented.
All righty, looks like no questions. Darling, can you keep screen sharing and just control mine?
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Awesome.
All right, so what I would like to talk about first is the actual SNAP application process. What a lot of people don't know is the time frame of how this can work. And there are two different kinds. There's actually the non-expedited food assistance program, and then there's also the expedited, which is a little bit more of an emergency situation. So to start with the application, day one, we submit the application, whether it's a paper form and the page number is on there. It's a DHS 1171 FAP assistance application, or we can submit it online. And probably 99% of our applicants do actually submit with us through the MyBridges. And the minimum information required is going to be their name, their address, unless they're homeless, which if they are, there are certain measures that can be taken through MDHHS. They can actually provide a makeshift post office box and a signature. At the time of the application, these are the only things required. Any further information will be taken in by the caseworker when the caseworker calls them. So then the application has been registered. Between day 2 and day 20, the applicant is required to complete an interview. The purpose of the interview is to explain program requirements to the applicant and to gather information for determining the group's eligibility. The interview will be conducted via telephone unless a specific policy directs otherwise. Sometimes the client won't actually have a phone. If that's the case, they can go down to the DHS office. And then if the interview is missed, the client is sent a notice of missed interview form. And at that point, it will be upon their responsibility to continue to call the caseworker back and try to reschedule that interview. Let's see, if the client calls to reschedule, the interview is rescheduled prior to the 30th day if possible. If the interview is not rescheduled or it's missed, the applicant is denied on day 30. The interview must be held by day 20 after the application submission date to allow the applicant at least 10 days to provide verifications by day 30. And I'm sure I'm not alone that we have quite a few clients who state that they sat by the phone and they waited for that phone call and somehow it was missed. They claim they never got the phone call. So we definitely encourage them to call back and just make sure that they can get that interview. Without the interview, it will be denied. So day 20 to day 29 after the interview is documented and the caseworker must inform the applicant of the following. They will request the needed verification not brought to the interview, advise the client of the standards of promptness for processing the FAP application, and make service referrals if needed. The verification the applicants may need to submit includes household compensation, assets, income, and expenses. And Jane, kind of referring back to what you had said about the clients, there's little follow-up and sometimes they can't get the documents in. You are 100% correct. We find that so much of the time our clients are denied based on not submitting the correct verifications, pension being one of them, or they didn't know what they needed. They couldn't get it in the mail. They couldn't get the documents in time. So I do feel like this day 20 to day 29 is very important in the follow-up and making sure that our clients get these documents in. So then once eligibility has been determined, yes, you're correct. Jane says absolutely. And then we have a question of what is procedure when English is not spoken language when calling. I do believe MDHHS is required to provide somebody who can speak that language. It's part of the application actually that it does ask if they need assistance with a different language. So it's going to be right on the application. And then what that would mean is that when the interview is held, it should be somebody who can verbally speak with that client. If they can provide their own translator, sometimes that's handy too. We've done third-party interviews where the client is there, but they actually have someone who's translating as they are doing the application, which is handy as well. Okay, so I hope that answered the question. So once eligibility has been determined, DHS specialist assesses the applicant's eligibility in line with MDHS policy, and then a determination is be made. Either they will be approved or they will be denied. If they are approved, a bridge card will be issued. For the food assistance program, a bridge card is mailed to their household. The bridge card can be used to purchase groceries at participating locations, such as grocery stores and farmers markets. And the monthly allotment a household receives is determined by guidelines established by the USDA. Any questions about the process for the non-expedited? Okay. Darlene, go ahead.
Thank you.
And then this is the process for the expedited assistance program. The guidelines are a little bit different. The timeline is much shorter as based on the somewhat emergency needs that the client needs to get food a little bit quicker than the 30 days. So they would also submit an application, either the parent paper form or online through MyBridges. Again, the minimum information is going to be a name, address, unless they are homeless, and a signature. The application expedited if one of the following applies. If the group has less than $150 monthly gross income and $100 or less in liquid assets. If the group is a destitute migrant or seasonal farm worker and have $100 or less in liquid access, or if the group's combined gross income and liquid assets are less than its monthly rent and or mortgage payments, including heat, utility, non-heat, electric, water, sewer, telephone, cooking fuel, or trash removal standards. Then the application is registered. As far as the interview, if the application is filed in person, the interview must be held the same day unless the applicant requests a postponement. If the client applies by mail, fax, or through MyBridges, interview must be no later than 1 working day after the first contact is made. So you can see as far as the timeline and effort is made to accommodate this expedited need for the food. The information is verified. At minimum, an applicant's identity must be verified. Reasonable effort must be made to verify their residency, income or lack of income, assets, and all other eligibility factors. Then the eligibility is determined. MDHHS eligibility specialist assesses an applicant's eligibility in line with MDHHS policy. Allowable shelter deduction standard would be the rent, mortgage, heat and utility, non-heat electric, water, sewer, telephone, cooking fuel, and or trash removal. If an applicant is denied the expedited process, a verbal notification is given to the applicant that MyBridges has registered a denial. When denial expedited service but seems eligible for FAP, MyBridges automatically changes the application to a regular 30-day application with the original submission date. So if that's the case, that it's been decided that they don't need the emergency food within the next few days, however, they do still qualify for the standard application. Like it says, it just changes the deadlines to the 30 days, and then it would just proceed with the non-expedited. You would still have to have your interview, but not necessarily as quickly, and everything just kind of flips over. You would still have to provide all the documents. And then on day 7, if approved for the food assistance program, a bridge card is mailed to the household. The bridge card can be used to purchase groceries at participating locations, such as grocery stores and farmer markets. The monthly allotment a household receives is determined by the guidelines established by the USDA. Are there any questions about the expedited food program?
I have, it's not a question, a comment, in the section where it has day 1, liquid asset, it's a sort of a term of art in that they're saying, if you have an asset, can you sell it right away? Are you able to get that cash right away? So instant transferring of a physical asset into cash. That's what they're determining, the need based on that. And so that's what that means when they're referring to liquid asset.
Okay, so that's kind of on the honor system though, if they have something they can sell.
Right.
Okay. And one thing I actually did want to comment on both of these, once the bridge card is issued, one thing we have learned, especially with our clients, is that they may have had a bridge card in the past. And so if that's the case, MDHHS might actually assume that they still have that card. So if any of you application assistants fall upon this experience from time to time, one good thing would be to ask the client if they've ever had it in the past. And if that's the case, maybe just let them know that if they don't get the bridge card right away, there's a number to call, that they can report a lost card. I've had clients who they didn't get the bridge card for 3 months, and they just waited and waited. So that's one good thing to maybe throw out there, is if they've ever had a bridge card before. All righty, next. So what can a client purchase with SNAP? With SNAP, you can buy breads, cereals, fruits and vegetables, meats, fish and poultry, dairy products, seeds and plants, which produce food for the household to eat. So really, healthy, nutritional foods is exactly what the bridge card can get for you. SNAP is not allowed to be used for beer, wine, liquor, cigarettes, or tobacco. Also not healthy. Any non-food items such as pet food, soaps, paper products, and household supplies, vitamins and medicines, food that will be eaten in the store, and hot food. SNAP can be used by qualifying homeless people, the elderly, and disabled to purchase low-cost meals from qualifying restaurants. And to my knowledge, there was a program through MDHHS that hasn't quite gotten kicked off yet, but I do believe Subway is one of the few places that has eligibility to use their bridge card. Is that the last one? There we go. SNAP cannot be exchanged for cash. That is not what it is for. All right, and we have a question here. Let's see if I can pull that up. What if new client were under a parent's card just to assist in applying personally? Octavia, can you clarify that? If they're a new client and they live with their parents, we can kind of revert back to the eligibility standards that Darling posted. If they prepare and purchase their food separately, they should have their own card.
Excuse me.
Oh, there you
Can
are.
you hear me, Miss Jane? So
I can hear you.
Thank you for answering the question. For not living with the parent, but if a person is a caregiver of a parent, but they're in separate households, and now the person applied, but their name is under their parents, I guess, SNAP benefits, and they have a card in their parents' name, because they're assisting their parent because their parent can't get out to do anything. And now that person applies. So their name is in the system under their parents, but it's still in the system. So they're
Sure.
probably thinking this person is trying to do double duty or something, but they're not, because there's two separate things.
So
Sure.
so go ahead. I have an answer, but go ahead, Betsy.
I have an answer. So my understanding is that they are separate households, so they should have separate cards. If one just recently moved away from the other, there should have been a change report, and then each client would have their own card. But if the child is the caregiver for the parent, they can be listed as an AR, an authorized representative, to have a card for their parent in order to do the shopping for the parent. Is that right, Darling?
Right, and that's what I wanted to add. So the example that was presented made me believe that that's what's happening, that caregiver, it has the card as an AR and showing their name, but it's truly for the benefit of the parent. And so when that caregiver applies for them, it's for them only, and they will get a separate card. So just because it's listed as your name shows up in the card, it does not mean it's yours. You may be working for someone else because, for lack of a better term, you're getting a card to help another individual. Your name shows up.
I believe I understand. So if it was two households, a person is a caregiver for their parent, and then they apply. So it would be under a assistant. It would be under an assistant's name, not the new person who would sign up's name. Is that what I'm understanding?
I believe each person would have a card with their own name on it.
I understand that, yes. But if a person's name is in the system with their parent, that's where the extra comes. You
Right.
say, well, you already have a card or something like that. They will tell the person they already have a card, but in actuality they don't. They're just assisting.
So one of the things to get clarification on your specific question is, how did that person get into the first case where the parents are in? If they applied together, that's the same household. But if the parent apply on, like, they made the application and said, I need someone else to help me with my buy-in and stuff like that, that parent named that child to be the AR. So in that process, that child is not part of the household. They're just helping the parent buy the grocery. And they get, if they go through the process of being listed as represented, authorized representative, their name shows up in a card. The parent also gets a card, but it's not for the child to use the funds. It's for the parent. They're just helping the parent. In that sort of following with that, the child goes on to apply for their own application. Then they do that, and they can do that on their separate account. They still are able to manage the parent account if they did separate household, meaning in that original application, they did not include the child, right? It was more authorized representative situation, and that child is not part of the household. So a good thing to clarify with your situation is, how did that child go in with the parent application? If it went in as being part of the household, then that child is considered part of the household. The funds that came out from there, that child is included. But if it went in as parent only, child came in as an authorized representative, that child is not part of the household, that benefit is not for them. That child can go in, if they meet the eligibility requirement, they can apply separately.
Yes, I understand.
Yep.
And I see that someone put in the chat box something like a power of attorney, but basically not a power of attorney. I know that the child is not, she doesn't have a power of attorney, but she is on her parents, as an AR. She
Yeah.
is on as an AR.
Yep.
But with, extra stuff, she's applying, but they told her that she couldn't because she was under her parents, even though they're in two separate locations. That's why I was asking that question for someone.
Excuse me, Darlene and Betsy, may I?
Yeah.
So what usually happens with that Octavia is when they originally filled out the application, as they're saying, is that that person must have added themselves to the household.
Right.
Because when you're doing the application for them, as I do many, many times, you don't put that person's name until the very end of the application when it says, would you like someone else to have a card as an authorized representative? And then that's when you put in their adult child's name or their child's name, and you put that person's name in there, but they do not live in that household. So therefore, when they get into their own household and put their own address, they should be able to get their own bridge card. Am I saying that correctly, ladies?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
are. Yes.
Thank you.
And to my understanding, that's what happened. But she did tell her that because she was AR, an authorized representative, that she's in her mother's case. And I do believe that she completely said she only had her mother on the application until the end, as you stated. But sometimes I guess things do get mixed up with the system, So because I believe all that was taken care of, and it was separate until the end.
Mhm.
So
I would
understand
definitely
what
look
you ladies
into
are
it.
saying. Yeah. Thank
Um,
you.
Yeah,
Great.
that was a really good question. Okay, Darling, next slide.
And great answers.
Thank you.
Okay.
All righty. So SNAP relationships to other benefits. And now we're going to talk about a few other public benefits available to not just seniors, but also the public. The first one is MyCap. MyCap is, I had it, the Michigan Combined Application Project. This allows its Social Security applicants for the supplemental security income. They are informed about SNAP, and SSI applicants may start a SNAP application at the same time they apply for SSI or when they recertify their SSI eligibility. SSA forwards the SNAP application to the state SNAP eligibility office, and they process the SNAP application. MyCap is designed to simplify SNAP enrollment for SSI recipients using data from SSI application. So it's really just a combined project. That's it. That's exactly what it's called. And it is used to simplify any sort of application processes for our clients. Okay, next. Next, we have the CSFP, which is the Commodity Supplemental Food Program. The CSFP works to improve health of low-income seniors by providing them with nutritious food. Eligibility is ages 60 and up with income less than 130% of the federal poverty line. State agencies, departments of health, human services, they store the CSFP food and distribute them through local agencies, and it's available in 49 states. So in the state of Michigan, or actually a national program that does issue some of these, it's Feeding America. So you could go to, well, you can check out the fact sheet, check out the link that's at the bottom of the page, but you can also go to feedingamerica.org. They do provide monthly food boxes. I believe in the area of Detroit, there are Hope food boxes, which is what would be considered the CSFP. And Feeding America, they are one of the bigger ones. They have over 200 food banks and 60,000 food pantries and meal programs. So the FNS website that you have there should actually have a link where you can find local areas. You might have organizations, I believe Bridging Community, They have Hope food boxes. I know in the city of Detroit, there's so many sites that will help find food boxes for seniors. Okay, next. So the next benefit is the Senior Farmer Market Nutrition Program. There's a note, and I'm going to come back to that. So the SFMNP, it's an anti-hunger program that gets food quickly to people in need. Grants are issued to states, DC, the territories, and tribal governments to help low-income seniors purchase eligible food at farmers markets, roadside stands, and community-supported agriculture programs. Eligibility, again, is 60 on up with income less than 185%. In the state of Michigan, I think we all know the Project Fresh coupons that would fall under this program. This year, the price is actually, well, not the price, but the amount of benefits for Project Fresh has gone up. Instead of $20 of coupons, it's going to be $25 in coupons for our clients, which is great. Every little bit helps, and those can be used at eligible farmers markets and roadside stands. Okay, go ahead. Next.
I thought you had a note.
Oh, thank you. So Olivia, she says that OLSA is a sponsor of CSFP.
Oh.
Olivia is the coordinator. Excellent.
Awesome.
Email me any interested seniors in Oakland County. That is great. That is really great. We also will be getting some coupons. So Olivia, if you have too many, you can always give us a call, and we can have the client complete the application, and we can also help with any overflow. And also, actually, anyone here, if you have clients who need the Project Fresh coupons, they can give My Cafe a call. I believe the number is at the bottom of the screen. We don't have coupons yet. They have not been mailed out yet, but there's a number at the bottom of the screen. And if you have clients 60 and older who would fit this eligibility guideline, have them give us a call. All right, and next we have the Emergency Food Assistance Program, also known as TFAP, which is an emergency food distribution program. USDA provides food items to state distribution formula based on the number of unemployed people and the number of people living below the poverty level. Mm-hmm. States then provide the food to local agencies, usually food banks, which distribute it to local organizations, i.e. soup kitchens or food pantries, to serve eligible beneficiaries. Those who get TFAP services can also qualify for the SNAP. And there's a link at the bottom of the page with a fact sheet about the TFAP. And so, yeah, the TFAP, generally those are food banks, soup kitchens, and also there will be some places where they can actually go in and sit down and eat the food rather than take it with them. So it would be, I just drew a blank on the kind of food it is when you can go in and eat. Starts with this. No, it's like a community food where you can just go in and eat, like communal dining. Okay. Is that right? All right, next. One more benefit is the Double Up food box. Anyone that has a bridge card, they can go to, well, we'll read this first. I was getting ahead of myself. In Michigan, the Fair Food Network's Double Up Food Bucks program provides healthy incentives for SNAP recipients who use their bridge card at participating farmer markets and grocery stores. So there's a link there, doubleupfoodbucks.org. You can check that out. Next. Thank you, Paulette. Paulette said it's congregate meals, and that's exactly what I was looking for. Didn't have it written in front of me. Alrighty, so in order to use the Double Up food box, you can use your bridge card to buy Michigan grown fresh fruits and vegetables at participating grocery stores. You can buy Michigan grown and get free matching Double Up dollars for up to $20 a day, and then spend your Double Up rewards on fresh fruits or vegetables in the same store. So generally at a farmer's market, what you would do is go find the little the kiosk and let them know that you want to use your bridge card, and they will give you, when you let them know that you're going to use $20 and get $20 in coins, they will actually match it and give you $20 more in coins, and that does not come off their bridge card. It It's actually funded by the state and the government. So that is great. Thank you. Keep going. There we go. So the My Cafe Network Partnership, MDHHS Navigation Partner, and Food Benefits. My Cafe Network is made up of community partners who help members of the community access SNAP and other benefits. And I'm actually happy to say that we have quite a few partners here on this call. I've recognized some names, and it's great to have everybody here. So MDHHS, that is sort of the biggest entity of the bunch that covers the entire state. Go ahead, darling, just keep clicking. And within the state, we have our network partners, which we have over 150 partners in the state of Michigan who are with us in our fight to get food to the elderly. Go ahead. We have network specialists who keep going. And applications assistants, I believe those are kind of one and the same. We have application assistants all over the state who have been trained through MDHHS to be a navigation partner. And then we have our My Cafe network, who this all kind of ties in together between the state, all of you, all of the network, really working to get these benefits to our clients. So we have a Joyce. Joyce wants to know if we know of any programs in North Carolina. Unfortunately, I don't. We really focus on the state of Michigan. I would hope that some of these federal programs really could help out in any state. So I would recommend looking at the links in a couple of the slides that we just passed through, the FNS
website.
links. Yeah, they actually will have maps that you can click on, and so you can target the state that you're in or other states that you want to look for, and they should be able to help drill down into that specific area. All righty, so talking a little bit more about My Cafe, we provide, go ahead, darling. We provide training and education. As far as the training and education, we can provide assistance with the My Bridges training and our own website training. We offer access to network partners resources. We offer an outreach collaboration, tech support from network specialists, data reporting, one-on-one application assistance, site reimbursements, an extensive partner network throughout Michigan, and annual client follow-up at recertification. So one of these tiles, there is a little star next to it. For the site reimbursements, I'm going to touch really lightly on that. If you're an application assistant and completing SNAP applications, we have funding that we can actually offer a $15 compensation for each application that your site does. So if you're interested in getting paid for something you might already do, give me a call and we will get set up. You might already be a partner. If you are a partner and you're not currently getting reimbursed, also give me a call because we need to figure out why you're not. So just wanted to touch on that a little bit. Next, darling. So as far as becoming a partner with My Cafe, the last tile talked about a lot of the options that we have as far as strengthening our partnership and how we can work together. These are the ways that you can be a partner. You can become a completing partner, which would be completing the benefit applications with seniors, again, with a possible reimbursement. And then we have an assisting partner, which you would assist seniors with signing and submitting the applications electronically, maybe helping them fax, providing a phone for them to maybe speak with us or actually do the phone interview. The next partner is finding and referring partner. So with this one, you would use My Cafe Network's My SOAP portal to find potentially eligible through the key benefits screening. And that is My SOAP. We do actually have our own website, and there's so many great resources. I don't even know where to start. That's that's a new one in itself. Go ahead. And I think, is this you, Darling, or is this still me?
It's to you.
Oh, okay. What is MyBridges? Go ahead. MyBridges is a secure internet portal offering access to MDHHS benefit applications anytime, anywhere. A lot of our clients do come to us and they don't use the internet. They're still using paper forms. So getting them a MyBridge account is really great because we can actually kind of follow up for them as their navigation partner. But also this keeps everything recorded. We can see letters. It's just a lot more convenient. And as it says, it is secure. It's developed and maintained by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And it allows households to create an account to apply for benefits, check case status, and recertify online. So actually, as I just said, using the online service, it's so much more convenient. And what is a navigation partner? A navigation partner is agreeing to provide technical assistance and one-on-one navigation assistance. They directly help individuals who may be unable to use the system enter data for the application and successfully completes the MyBridges navigation training. A navigation partner will participate in trainings and or webinars for updates. A navigation partner account must be created in MyBridges. A navigation partner can decide to be part of an existing organization or a new organization. MyBridges training must be passed and navigation partner is assigned a CPID. And then within the navigation partner dashboard, you have your client directory, client case information, and resources. So having your own actual dashboard makes it so much easier to keep up with all your clients. I know you get notifications. So if you have a client who has documents that are due or a recertification update, you will actually get that update as well. Next. And so this is the MDHHS navigation partner and food benefits. So as you can see, there are topics here you can look for resources for. There's food, housing and shelter, assistance with utilities, healthcare, income and employment, transportation, childcare, and education. Next. And then what types of benefits can you apply for at MyBridges? You can apply for the food assistance program, state emergency relief, medical assistance, child development care, and the family independence program.
And that is it.
All righty.
That's, yeah.
Okay, there's one question here. Oh, she said thank you. She was responding to my comment. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Darlene. And again, if you have any questions, please just go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll get to them.
Awesome. So I will take over from here. And so what does it mean, right? So one of the navigation partners and the other benefits that we cover through the MyCafe programs are Medicaid, Medicare Savings Program, the extra income subsidy, the low income income subsidy, also known as LIS, and the state emergency relief. And those are applications that when we get an individual that call us and need help with SNAP, we also are making sure that they are eligible for all the other benefits that are listed there on your screen, and we help them apply for that. So I'm going to talk to you briefly, a very brief overview of those 4 programs that we do. And this was part of the 5 key benefits that we sort of do as far as the screening is concerned. So I wanted to talk to you about Medicaid. And what is Medicaid? Medicaid is a low-income healthcare program that is funded by the state and federal government. It is available to low-income persons meeting the 65 years old or older, blind or permanently disabled individuals. or certain families, and it's listed there. Usually the My Health card is what is shown there. That's the card that gets issued to the individual that is part of the Medicaid benefit program. Some of the eligibility for Medicaid, it can be done on an individual or a couple. The couple can apply together, or one individual can apply, married one. For the eligibility, it looks at the asset. If it's a single individual, it's 2,000. Married, applying together, or applying one person, married, applying just one, 3,000 is the asset that they look at. They look at a very low income threshold. It's 100% federal poverty level. That income is currently slated at 1133 for the single or married, either applying on individually or as a couple. 1526 is the income that will get them into the Medicaid benefit. Additionally, there's the other type of income, and that is the step down, or not step down, the spend down Medicaid that you hear a lot from our clients. And that is, it's still low income, but it's at the 133% of federal poverty level. And so an individual will have 1506, married will be at 2029. And then those figures, again, it changes every year because of the updates that gets done through the federal government. In addition to the low income, the very low and low income sort of guidelines, they also look at, one thing to point out is Michigan citizenship and US citizenship, or lawfully present eligible status here, okay? And the next type of benefit that we look at is Medicare and Medicare Savings Program. A couple of things to keep in mind: that Medicare is a federal health insurance program that is available regardless of income, medical history, or health status. And it's available to individuals that are 65 or older and have certain health conditions determined, and it's reflected in that slide. There are a couple of ways to get Medicare, and Medicare has a lot of parts. So Part A, it can be a premium free. You can do so by showing the following things. You're eligible for Social Security and you have paid. Your work history shows that you've paid taxes for more than 10 years. If that is your sort of category, you fall in there, your Part A premium is free to you. If you don't show, you're not able to show those eligibility, the premium can either be at $499 for the applicant, or at $274, and that difference is based on their work history and their payroll tax history into the system. In addition to the Part A, and in the Medicare, you have the Part A, which is hospital insurance, and then you have the Part B, which is the medical insurance. And most of our clients will tell you they have a premium paid or deducted from their account, and not usually in this 2021. It went up, actually 2021, 2022, it went up to 170.10. This was at 140 just the year before. And so unless individuals are enrolled in the Medicare Savings Program, that 170 is paid by the individual. And so when we are screening individual for benefits, we look and see, are they eligible to apply for the Medicare Savings Program, because it saves them $170 that they don't have to pay out of their pocket. So we screen for that, and we'll talk about the Medicare Savings Program further down. Then the other part, Medicare Part that we help is the Medicare Part D, which is the drug coverage. And in that program, what is happening, and there's very amounts of premiums that get done, but because the government contracts with private companies, and so Part D monthly premium varies based on the contract that the government has contracted. So, and unless the individual is able to apply or it's eligible for the LIS program, they pay the drug coverage. And so, and we'll talk about it later and how the eligibility impacts that. So for the most part, in the Medicare world, we either have individual who have a premium Part A at $4.99, or it's free for the Part A based on their history, or we have Medicare Part B, that is they're paying a monthly premium at $170, but if we're able to get them for the Medicare Savings Program, then that premium is paid under that program, or they have to pay for the drug, the medicine coverage, and if they're not able to do the LIS, then they're going to have to pay for their medicine. All right, so Medicare Savings Program, what is it? And so the Medicare Savings Program is a federally funded program that is administered by the state. Each state determines their eligibility and what gets deducted and what have you. The qualification for MSP is based on income and assets, and another word that they use interchangeably is resources, and so they look at income and asset limits the way that we know it. So who can apply? So it can be an individual or couple. An asset test as it relates to SSI related Medicaid. So a household individual can have $8,400 in assets, or a couple can be at $12,960. Asset, so and all other. So if you're not an SSI individual, you're not under the SSI related Medicaid, then your asset needs to be at $2,000 or $3,000 if you're married. So with the Medicare Savings Program, remember, this is that $170 premium that we help apply for Part B. So if the individual is at a very low income, meaning it's at 100% federal poverty level, and they're showing their income at $1,153, or couple is married, it's at $1,546, their income, that $170 is fully covered. It's paid for them. If, however, they are at the other threshold, and if you note in my slide, if it's 1153.1, right? If they're over by that 1 cent, they are over the 100% federal poverty guideline, and so they're in that category of 100 through 120, and so that income, if they fall in that income, Part B, that 170 is partially paid by the program. In addition to those things, citizenship is looked at. This is one of those other benefits that look at the state of Michigan residency and U.S. citizenship, or certain eligible status. I will move on to the LIS, and that is the Medicare Extra Help. It's a resource to help individuals pay for their medicine, right? It is a qualification based on income and asset. Again, they use the same term, resource. And so it can be done by an applicant. So it can be an individual or a couple. Asset needs to be at $15,510 for the individual, and couple at $39.50. Income, again, they look at the 135 through the 150, and if they're in that income category at 1719 or 2309, then they get help with paying for their the medicine, because it's part Medicare Part Extra Help. All right, and that is the categories that they look at on there. The next sort of benefits that we help individuals apply for is the State Emergency Relief Program, which is the SCR. We also know it as SCR for short. So the SCR is it provides financial assistance to quickly address emergencies and to prevent either an eviction, stop a utility shut off, or pay for burial. There are other categories that are listed under the SCR. For the most part, our demographics look at those categories that were listed. So that's the reason why we're addressing it just for that. So don't be misled that there are no other benefits. There are other benefits. That's the category we tend to work with more. For the SCR, eligibility is based on household composition and the monthly income and countable asset, right? And so again, it can be an individual applicant or a couple. The asset needs to be at 15,000. And the income needs to be 100%, 150% of federal poverty guideline. And that is currently at $16.99 for an individual or a couple, $22.89. And so that before I sort of move over to the resources, I wanted to sort of stop there and see if you have any questions on the benefits that we have there. Before the questions, what I hope that you're able to sort of get with this presentation is, if it's too much information or overwhelming and that you feel there's additional need, reach out to us. We are able to help in every regard. I highly encourage you, if you're not already a navigation partner, to look that up and see if you're able to help individuals apply for benefits. There is a great need in helping seniors navigate through that system and in applying for benefits. One of the things that is not listed, remember we talked about barriers at the very beginning, and my personal opinion, not Elm, not my cafe, but my personal opinion is that a lot of our seniors have a technology barrier, that they need help, and I'm not saying they may have access to an internet or have access to their phone, but there's a need for a guided process that allows for them to actually complete an application. That is a technology barrier. I think that there are a lot of steps that seniors have to go through to apply that prevents them to actually fully going through with an application. So I think that if you are in a position where you're able to sign up as a navigator, you are able to help an individual, I highly encourage you to do that. If you are interested in becoming a partner with us to sort of go and do applications, we provide sort of substantive training on the benefits that we just provided to you. We'll give you knowledge. The knowledge we have, we'll share that with you to make sure that you understand what the benefits are. And we also have an in-house MARA worker that we have the ability to, tap into those resources. And that's something that is part of our partnership agreement and our network sort of benefits. So, but if you are interested in becoming a partner, do reach out to us. Betsy is our go-to in that regard. So do reach out. So I'll stop there and ask if you have any questions.
There are a couple comments. Jane Morris says that she assists seniors with SCRs every day. And Jane, I can't even stress to you, it's blown up in the last couple months. I think in the month of, I think it was December and January, we did 75 SCRs, which for us, that was huge. And it just got worse in January and February. So thank you for helping with all those seniors that need the SCRs. And Georgia says life eligibility. Georgia, I'm not sure where in the span of Darlene's slides that came in.
Leaf, I think that she's referring to the emergency, like the state emergency. LIHEAP. I think so. Isn't it LIHEAP that you're referring to?
Well, she said life, LIFE, but maybe an
Yeah,
autocorrected.
yeah.
I'm not sure. All right. Are there any other questions? Comments? Okay.
All right. So the last few slides are resources where we talked about the FNS and SNAP. If you are interested in finding more about FNS and their SNAP and the programs that they allow, that is their website. NCOA has created a tool for benefit finding out what benefits a client uses. The benefit checkup .org is run by NCOA, the National Council on Aging. And so do check it out. We have developed our own screening tool that we use in-house. And if you're a partner of ours, a partner uses that, it's very similar to the benefit checkup, but it's more tailored to the benefits that we apply. The benefit checkup is something we use for outside of the state of Michigan benefit realm. So a couple of things that may come up there would be organizations have said, I have this resource for community. That's where they log in, and we're able to tap into those resources as we're helping individual. A lot of other materials that you may sort of get an idea of what's happening in senior and senior hunger. It's again NCOA, and it gives you, a good indication where things are as far as senior is concerned. And lastly, our myslope.org is our site, our portal that we run. We sort of manage. In MySlope, you have the ability to sign up as a partner. It will guide you through the process of an application. That application gets submitted to us, and then we do the follow-up on that. So I wanted to give you those resources there. And then our contact information, again, this is My Cafe. It is the Michigan Coordinated Access to Food for the Elderly. I cannot emphasize enough, if you or someone needs help in applying for benefits, just provide that number, give us a call, and we'll help. We have a call center open from 9 to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, and that's our number. And I will leave our contact information, which is the next slide. And that concludes our presentation. My name is Darling Garcia, and you've heard from Betsy Smith. We are available. Reach out, and we're here to help.
Thank you so very much, ladies. I hope you guys can hear me. Thank you very much. This was a lot of great information. Please do get all and copy all the information down for ELM, Elder Law of Michigan, and all the work that they do. Just want to make sure there's no other questions before we end out today. Lots of thank yous coming in, ladies. Lots of thank yous. And I want to thank everyone who has joined us over the past month for all of our workshops through the SRC. This has been a great month, full of information, full of knowledge. Lots of good stuff still coming into the chat. Thank you, everyone. Betsy did just put her email address in the chat as well. So make sure you guys take that information down. I just want to make sure you guys have this. Take your phones out, take a picture if you need to, so that you can definitely follow up with them. Seems like there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of growth. We know COVID hasn't went anywhere. It's just changed its face a little bit. So just keep that in mind as we continue to address our seniors and keep them safe and comfortable. Yes, the PowerPoints will be available for you. You will get a survey evaluation for today. You will get a certificate of attendance if you attended today, and you will have an opportunity to get the slides as well. The video will be also located on our website. So if you go to the SRC's website, you can see all the presentations from this month, which are on actually connected to our YouTube page. So there will be because it was a lot of information today.
It
So you,
was.
It's a lot.
so you need to go back and be able to look at that information again and be able to narrow down some things. So absolutely everything will be available to you. So once again, I want to say thank you to Elder Law of Michigan, who has been a great supporter of Money Smart Week for a number of years and a great supporter of the SRC. Thank you guys so very much. I want to thank everyone who joined us today. And I want to thank, I don't know if Nicole is still here, but our tech assistant in the back, Nicole, has just been on it for the past month. It's been a lot of coordinating bios and workshops and PowerPoints and all that good stuff. I want to thank her so very much for all the time and effort she's put in. Thank you, everyone. Please visit our website at the semisrc.org. And I will see you guys very soon in the future. Thank you, everyone. Thank you
Bye-bye.
again.
Bye.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Same to you.
Bye-bye.
You too.